Braka. Welcome to HSE-TV Entertainment. We get silly here. I ain't gotta be uptight like I do on Facebook, as if I ever do anywhere else. Nah, but we're gonna get loose here. Here you just gonna breathe. If you like the breath, you're gonna continue. If not, then you're gonna find somewhere where you fit. We do things differently than we do here on Facebook and other breathing exercises. We get funky. Right now is your time to share, if you care. Because once we get deep, you're going to be mad that you got to take that finger when the spirit tell you, hit the share button, hurry up. All right? I'm telling you now, I start off boring, but I'm like the Thomas train. I just keep going. I don't think I can. I know I can. But we just cook you up, build up a foundation for new people. You know, the old people here that's mature, been with me for a while, they know how we get down. But do you know that entities are real? DMT, some people get high to see them. Some people get drunk, nasty. Some people do witchery, voodoo, hoodoo, Buddhayan. They do evil imagination. Some people write songs. They commune all kinds of ways, summoning these things. Don't take my word for it. I'm here to bring the proof, baby. The proof juice. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself. We'll come back to that. So you get to that, you got to know what's facing, the Dmt-Claytronic'S deities, the micro avatar animations within yourself.
Is a powerful psychedelic substance that can produce intense and profound experiences. The effects of DMT can vary widely depending on the individual, the dosage, and the setting in which it is consumed. While under the influence of DMT, individuals may encounter a range of is a powerful psychedelic substance that can produce intense and profound experiences. The effects of DMT can vary widely depending on the individual, the dosage, and the setting in which it is consumed. While under the influence of DMT, individuals may encounter a range of different entities or beings. Here are 10 types of entities that are commonly reported by people who have used DMT. One of the entities encountered while under the influence of DMT is the jester or trickster entity. This entity is often described as having a clown-like appearance and a mischievous demeanor. They may appear as a single entity or as a group, and they are known to play tricks on those who encounter them. One user of DMT described their experience with the jester entity as follows. I suddenly found myself in this surreal and bizarre world that felt like a carnival. There were these jester entities everywhere, and they seemed to be laughing and mocking me. They were playing all kinds of tricks on me, like making me feel as if I was falling or twisting my perception of time. It was both terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. Another user described encountering a jester entity that seemed to be testing their perception of reality. I saw this jester entity appear in front of me, and it seemed to be playing with my mind. It kept showing me different realities and dimensions, and it was like it was trying to break down my understanding of what is real and what is not. It was a very intense experience, but it also felt like a powerful lesson. Overall, the descriptions of jester entities encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are often associated with a sense of playfulness, but they may also be perceived as intimidating or threatening. They may test the boundaries of reality and challenge the perceptions of those who encounter them, and they may be seen as teachers or tricksters depending on the individual's interpretation of the experience. Another entity commonly encountered while under the influence of DMT is the entity of light. These entities are often described as having a bright, glowing appearance and emanating a sense of love and compassion.
You see these patterns, how they look just like when you're looking in a microscope and you're looking at your food or your clothes or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
They may appear as sing and are known to communicate messages of love and unity to those who encounter them. One user of DMT described their experience with an entity of light as follows. I was suddenly surrounded by this incredible radiant light that filled me with a sense of love and compassion. It was like the light was alive and communicating with me, telling me that everything was going to be okay and that I was loved unconditionally. It was an incredibly peaceful and transformative experience. Another user described encountering a group of entities of light that seemed to be communicating a message of unity. I saw these beings of light appear in front of me, and they seemed to be holding hands and forming a circle around me. They communicated with me telepathically, and I felt like they were telling me that we are all one, and that love and compassion are the keys to understanding our place in the universe. It was a truly humbling and profound experience. Overall, the descriptions of entities of light encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of love, compassion, and unity. They may communicate messages of peace, acceptance, and interconnectedness, and they may be seen as guides or spiritual teachers depending on the individual's interpretation of the experience. Another type of entity that can be encountered while under the influence of DMT is the alien or extraterrestrial entity. These entities are often described as having a non-human appearance, with unusual features such as elongated limbs, large eyes, or unusual skin texture. They may appear as a single entity or as a group, and they are known to communicate messages related to the nature of the universe and the purpose of human existence. One user of DMT described their experience with an alien entity as follows. I suddenly found myself in this futuristic world that felt like it was from another planet. I saw these beings with elongated limbs and huge black eyes, and I immediately knew that they were extraterrestrial. They communicated with me telepathically, and I felt like they were telling me that humanity is not alone in the universe and that we have a much larger purpose than we realize. It was an incredibly mind-expanding experience. Another user described encountering an alien entity that seemed to be interested in their personal growth and development. I saw this tall, thin being with pale skin and large dark eyes appear in front of me, and I immediately knew that it was an extraterrestrial. It communicated with me through telepathy and seemed to be interested in my personal growth and development. It was like it was telling me that I have a higher purpose and that I need to pursue it with all my heart. It was an incredibly inspiring experience. Overall, the descriptions of alien entities encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of curiosity, which is related to personal growth and development, or they may convey information related to the larger purpose of humanity in the cosmos. Depending on the individual's interpretation, they may be seen as guides, teachers, or even representatives of extraterrestrial civilizations. Another type of entity that can be encountered under the influence of DMT is the machine elf, or clockwork elf. These entities are often described as having a mechanical or robotic appearance and may appear as a single entity or as a group. They are known to be highly intelligent and communicate messages related to the nature of reality and the structure of the universe. One user of DMT described their experience with a machine elf as follows. I suddenly found myself in this bizarre, mechanical world filled with these strange, elf-like entities made out of gears and circuits. They seemed incredibly...
Now, see there are four faces. What you would call cherubim, seraphim. Here they call them machine elves. Men-like appearances. Eyes all around their wings and bodies and faces like the angels that was talked about in the scriptures. Like a Benu or Binu. In your Bible, that's the lion-like body with eagle-like face and wings. Others call it a sphinx.
Intelligent and communicated with me through a complex language of symbols and images. It was like they were showing me the inner workings of the universe and the nature of reality itself. It was both mind-blowing and awe-inspiring. Another user described encountering a group of machine elves that seemed to be interested in their personal growth and development. I saw these mechanical elves appear in front of me, and they seemed to be communicating with each other through some kind of advanced technology. They showed me scenes from my past and future, and it was like they were telling me that I have the power to shape my own destiny. It was an incredibly empowering experience. Overall, the descriptions of machine elves encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of advanced intelligence, technological sophistication, and an understanding of the inner workings of the universe. They may communicate messages related to personal growth and development, or they may convey information related to the structure and nature of reality itself. Depending on the individual's interpretation, they may be seen as guides, teachers, or even representatives of advanced civilizations beyond our own. Some individuals have reported encountering entities during DMT trips that they describe as demons. These entities are often described as having a terrifying appearance with dark, menacing features and a sense of malevolence or aggression. They may communicate negative messages related to the individual's self-worth, personal power, or place in the universe. One user of DMT described their experience with a demon as follows: "I saw this terrifying entity that seemed to be made out of pure darkness and hate. It communicated with me through a series of terrifying images and messages that made me feel completely worthless and powerless. It was like it was feeding off of my fear and anxiety, and I couldn't escape its grasp. It was the most terrifying experience of my life." Another user described encountering a demon that seemed to be related to their own psychological issues and fears. "I saw this demonic entity that seemed to be a manifestation of my own deepest fears and anxieties. It was like it was telling me that I was a worthless, insignificant being, and that I would never be able to overcome my own limitations.
This is symbolic.
It was a terrifying..."
This is symbolic. See the lines? That's like a lion, the wandering lion. Supernatural is we'll come back to that.
Are you ready to uncover the darkest secrets of humanity? Today, the deepest of the cruelest gods worshipped by the ancient Canaanites. These gods, feared and revered, left a legacy of terror and mystery that continues to resonate today. The Canaanites, a civilization that inhabited the Levant. Are you ready to uncover the darkest secrets of antiquity? Today, we will dive into the deep gnosis of the cruelest gods worshipped by the ancient Canaanites. These gods, feared and revered, left a legacy of terror and mystery that continues to resonate today. The Canaanites, a civilization that inhabited the Levant region, worshipped deities that were neither compassionate nor merciful. These entities demanded sacrifices and ruled over their followers with brutal power. Over time, these deities were associated with demonology, considered dark and evil forces. The worship of these gods was enveloped in bloody rituals and esoteric practices designed to appease their wrath and gain their favor, but at an extremely high cost. Today, we will unveil these hidden secrets, exploring the legends and terrifying truths surrounding these Canaanite deities. Who were these gods really? What kind of power did they wield over their followers? And what lessons can we draw from their journey into the heart of the most sinister Easternism. Each revelation will take us deeper into the mind and soul of the ancient Canaanites, unraveling knowledge that challenges our modern understanding. Let's begin. Moloch, the feared god of child sacrifices. Imagine a dark and mysterious valley on the outskirts of Jerusalem. In this place, known as the Valley of Ben Hinnom, the ancient Canaanites carried out rituals that today seem unimaginable. Horrifying sacrifices in honor of a feared and revered deity named Moloch. Moloch, mentioned in the Bible as a god to whom human sacrifices were made, is a figure shrouded in mystery and sacred records shed little light on him. Moloch, whose name likely derives from the Hebrew word melech, king, was a figure of dark power. For a long time, it was thought that Moloch was another name for welcome, but more recent epithet rather than a proper name. Like a region, the ancient Canaanites referred to their gods as kings of various domains. An example is Malkandros, another name for El, the chief god of the Canaanite pantheon, meaning king of man. An intriguing theory suggests that Moloch could have been Baal-Adad or Hadad, the king of the Canaanite gods. In the same valley where children were unlived, the prophet Jeremiah mentions altars dedicated to Baal, and Assyrian texts speak of child sacrifices to Adad, the Assyrian equivalent of Hadad. This suggests a mysterious and dark connection between these gods and human sacrifices. The sacrifices in honor of Moloch were known as passing through the fire. They were carried out in a sanctuary called Tophet, just outside the walls of Jerusalem. Although some believe this practice was introduced the biblical prophets harshly condemned these rituals, seeing them as an oppression in the eyes of Yahweh. Not exclusive to Canaan. Similar sacrifices were performed in Carthage, a city founded by Phoenician settlers. A sacred grove and a temple dedicated to these rites, suggesting a cultural connection between Canaanite and Carthaginian practices. Although some experts debate this connection, the similarities are undeniable. A ferocious aspect of the worship of Moloch is its association with the torture of bull, an infamous method of execution known as the brazen bull, used in Sicily. This device, a bronze statue shaped like a bull, was used to cruelly torture and unalive victims. People were locked inside the hollow bull, and a fire was lit underneath, heating the metal until the victims were literally, well, you know, their agony resonated through tubes in the bull's head, creating a sound similar to the bellowing of an enraged bull. Today, Moloch remains a figure of fascination and fear. Some theories suggest that some elites worship this deity in the modern era. It is said that influential figures worship Moloch in secret circles. The Bohemian Club, for example, has been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories about the modern worship of Moloch. It is rumored that the most influential people gather to commit atrocities in the name of this god, seeking power, money, and fame. Among the members of this club are allegedly Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon, among other high government officials and Hollywood stars. If you want to know more about these theories and the possible contemporary worship of Moloch, research the Bohemian Club and the horrors that are said to occur there. If you are interested in this topic, perhaps we will make a video about it in the future. Now, let's move on to the next god. Mot, the god of death and the underworld. Mot, also known as Lilith, is the god of death and the underworld in Canaanite mythology. He represents an inevitable and relentless force, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the certainty of death. His dominion over the underworld and his voracious appetite make him a feared and respected figure by gods and humans. It is often described with a grotesque and terrifying appearance, suitable for his role.
See, that's those plasmic beings. These are your principalities, jinns, genies that could take on form, shapeshifters. Pay attention.
As the god of death. Imagine a tall, skeletal figure with withered, dry skin stretched over his prominent bones. His face is a mask of terror, with sunken eyes that seem like bottomless pits and a disproportionately large mouth, always open, displaying rows of sharp, blade-like teeth. His hair is tangled and dirty, and his presence exudes a smell of rot and decomposition. Stories describe him with bony hands and long claws, capable of grabbing and devouring anyone who crosses his path. His appearance reflects his greedy nature and his role as a devourer of souls. He is described as a greedy god, always hungry and never satisfied. This characteristic makes him a brutal representation of death, a power that consumes without discrimination, affecting everyone equally. Mot not only devours humans, but also other gods, highlighting his power and relentless cruelty. His insatiable hunger symbolizes the inevitability of death, a fate from which no one can escape. The most famous myth involving Mot is his confrontation with Baal, the god of storms and fertility. In this tale, Mot challenges Baal and drags him into the underworld, causing droughts and disasters on Earth. The battle between Baal and Mot represents the eternal cycle of life and death, fertility and desolation. Although Baal is eventually resurrected, Mot's presence ensures that death will always have its place in the cycle of existence. He is not only a god of death, but also a figure representing the underworld, a dark realm where the souls of the dead reside. His abode is a feared place, filled with shadows and terror, where spirits find restless rest under his rule. This underworld reflects the Canaanite perception of death, inevitable, unfathomable, and eternally hungry. The cruelty of this god extends beyond his insatiable hunger. In some stories, he is described as reveling in the suffering of both
the very last Transformer movie. That's that thing that guy was going around looking for the two keys so he can take over it. What did he say? We call it destroying the world. That nigga said, I'm hungry, I'm eating them.
The living and the dead, delighting in the despair his presence provokes. His ruthless character and lack of mercy make him one of the most feared figures in the Canaanite pantheon. In ceremonies and rituals, the ancient Canaanites sought to appease Mot, to avoid his wrath and protect themselves from his voracity. With his unyielding dominion over death and the underworld, he embodies the harshness of existence and the certainty of the end.
Now, one different names they're eating the souls, that's also on the Aztec Mayan wheel in the middle. It's the same thing.
We all face. His story and his cult reflect the deep fear and reverence that the ancient Canaanites felt towards the relentless power of death. Baal, the lord of storms and fertility. Baal, one of the most prominent deities of the Canaanite pantheon, was essential to the lives of the region's ancient people.
3 heads, y'all.
Associated
That's a
with
cherubim.
storms, fertility, and agriculture, Baal was worshipped for his ability to provide rain and ensure the fertility of the land. The Canaanites, dependent on the seasons and harvests, saw Baal as a protector and provider, guaranteeing the continuity of life through his blessings. Baal's influence extended beyond Canaan, and he was also revered in neighboring cultures of the ancient Near East. His name, which means Lord or owner, reflects his authority and power over natural elements. Inscriptions and artifacts found at archaeological sites demonstrate his prominence and the devotion he received. However, the worship of this god was not without its brutal and fearsome practices. In times of drought, natural disasters, or calamities, rituals dedicated to Baal could become incredibly cruel. To appease his wrath and ensure his favor, human sacrifices were performed, a practice that reveals the dark and ruthless side of his cult. These sacrifices were necessary to restore balance and obtain God's blessings. One of the darkest aspects of this god's worship is the practice of child sacrifices. In desperation, the Canaanites sacrificed their children, hoping that Baal would respond to their pleas.
That's crazy. All day, y'all, if y'all been here with me on Facebook, and all day they've been talking about child sacrifices. I didn't know what I was saying here. I'm just led by the Spirit. Flip the videos, let's go. But yo, the Holy Spirit been bing, 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 bing all day. We've been looking at this ugly. You know what I'm saying? That's important, y'all. Pay attention to the universe.
And bring the much needed rain. This act was seen as a last resort to save the community from famine and death. The brutality of these rituals has been documented in various ancient texts. It is harshly criticized in the Bible, where the Hebrew prophets condemn the worship of Baal and its practices. Despite this, the cult of Baal persisted for centuries, showing the deep influence and fear that this deity inspired in its worshippers. Baal was also connected with other aspects of Canaanite life. His role as a fertility god meant that he controlled the rains and the fecundity of animals and humans. Festivals and rituals in his honor included celebrations to thank him for his gifts and request the continuation of his favor. In addition to his importance in ancient Canaan, Baal has also left a mark.
Pause. Revelation say frog-like spirits. What the hell is that? The Bible say swine. What is that? And evil cats, yo. And looking real closely, that's an angel. Wings. I can't make out what that is. And there's people in the throat of the doggone frog. Yo. And then the what look like mountains is like spider legs, yo. Yo, this deformality, this is what cherubims look like, though.
In demonology. In medieval Christian tradition, he was demonized and transformed into an infernal figure. In demonological texts, he is portrayed as a high-ranking demon in hell, a grotesque and monstrous entity that rules with cruelty. He is described with multiple heads, sometimes of a man, bull, and ram, symbolizing his power and fearsome nature. This transformation of Baal from a respected god to a terrifying demon reflects how later cultures interpreted and condemned the religious practices of their predecessors. Resheph, the god of plague and war. Resheph, a feared deity in the Canaanite pantheon, is the god of plague and war. His name evokes images of disease and destruction, and his presence is synonymous with death and chaos. Unlike other gods who could bring blessings and prosperity, Resheph is seen as an unstoppable and ruthless force whose purpose is to sow terror and desolation. This god is often depicted as a fierce and terrifying warrior. Imagine a tall, robust figure with powerful muscles, reflecting his strength in combat. His skin is pale, almost translucent, as if permanently shadowed by death. His eyes, fiery and piercing, seem to reflect the fever's fire and the fury of war.
No, that sounds
His hair
familiar.
appears aflame in some depictions, suggesting his connection with destruction and fire. His face is marked by an implacable and severe expression, devoid of compassion or mercy. He is frequently shown with a crown of coiled snakes around his head, symbolizing the poison and mortality he brings. His large, strong hands hold a bow and arrows, tools of his power to unleash diseases and death from afar. The arrows, often described as poisoned, represent the rapid and...
Ain't that the four seals, y'all? Revelation 6. One with a bow and arrow on a white horse. One with a red horse, pestilence. One with a black horse, the scales of the Libra. One with the pale horse, death. All right.
and painful spread of the plague. Reshef's cruelty is
Not
manifested
four
in
seals,
his
four
association
horsemen.
with
Excuse me.
pestilence and war, two of the most destructive and feared forces in the ancient world. It was believed that Reshef had the power to unleash devastating epidemics, wiping out entire communities with uncontrollable diseases. The pestilences brought by Reshef were seen as divine punishments, and their impact was both physical and psychological, as the mere mention of his name could instill panic and despair. He was also a god of war, reveling in bloodshed and destruction on the battlefield.
Napoleon,
Warriors
Abaddon.
invoked his name for strength and ferocity, but also feared his wrath.
Scientists call
as
it
his
Mars.
favor was as volatile as it was deadly. War under the banner of Reshef not only meant the defeat of the enemy, but also the spread of diseases among the survivors, prolonging suffering and agony long after the battles had ended. In times of plague, the rituals dedicated to this god were particularly grim and eerie. The Canaanites performed sacrifices, often of animals and occasionally humans, to appease the god and pray for the end of the plague. These sacrifices were bloody and desperate, reflecting the people's helplessness in the face of this deity's destructive power. The bloodshed in his honor was seen as an attempt to satiate his insatiable thirst for destruction and
Stop. I don't know if this is an encrypted code, but Canaanites, from who you call Cain, Qayin, or your way, CA space or apostrophe IN, Cain. You see how they showing Aztecs and Mayans. I know y'all know good and John Dan Brown well. That's what that is. Let's have some fun. I put a mark on Cain, soul on the horizon. I took him to the east. Okay, now we know where the Americas are. Kimaru or Maruki. And you see what's going down right here. And my man just said the Canaanites. You see what I'm saying? What the hell are you? And we seen these people here? This ain't no Cherokees up in this joint right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the real deal, baby. You know what I mean? It's like Mizo Amaruki. You know, ancient times, Mayans, Aztecs, Olmecs. The Chinese, today you call it Chinese. These are Cain descendants. Cartel, both places. Miso, Mexico, and Asia. And they underground operation, live and operate. What you saying, bro? Ain't nothing new under the solar sun. Now we go look at the Aztec, man, and we go look at the Mexico cartel, man, and how they tattoo themselves. You're going to see the same damn deity on his chest. Same ones. Yeah, you know that's not coincidence. You better cut that out.
Reshef's brutality is amplified by his connection with other deities of war and plague in different cultures of the ancient Near East. His name appears in Egyptian texts where he is identified with similar gods, such as Seth, and in Ugaritic inscriptions, highlighting his role as a bringer of calamities. His presence in these cultures underscores his reputation as an implacable force of devastation whose influence extended beyond the borders of Canaan. Reshef embodies the cruelty and unpredictability of plagues and war. His grotesque figure and association with disease and death make him a feared and respected deity, a constant reminder of life's fragility and the relentless power of nature. The ancient Canaanites sought to protect themselves from his wrath through rituals and sacrifices, albeit always aware that Reshef's shadow could fall upon them at any moment. Anat, the bloodthirsty warrior goddess. Anat, also known as Anath, is a warrior goddess in Canaanite mythology, renowned for her fierce nature and association with war. As Baal's sister, she shared his power and presence in the Canaanite pantheon, but was distinguished by her brutality and bloodthirstiness. Anat was a protector and a deity who embodied violence and destruction in their purest form. This figure is depicted as strong and majestic, with a terrifying beauty that reflects both her power and ferocity. She is often shown armed with a spear and a bow, ready for combat. Her body is adorned.
Now, they're war in heaven. Why? Because we got these deities, shadow-like beings, versus the real deal. Remember him? Yaldabaoth, king of hell. The figure 8 track that your solar sun follows. You know, the little infinity sign.
Experience, but I realized that I needed to face my own demons and work through my own psychological issues if I wanted to move forward in life. Overall, the descriptions of DMT demons encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of terror, fear, and malevolence. They may communicate negative messages related to the individual's self-worth or place in the universe, or they may be a reflection of the individual's own psychological issues and fears. Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are angels or angelic beings. These entities are often described as having a loving, benevolent presence and may be associated with feelings of peace, comfort, and spiritual
see that
guidance.
menorah
One
right
user
there?
of DMT described their experience
Candlestick
with an
towards
angel as
the left.
follows. I saw this incredibly beautiful angelic being that seemed to radiate love and light. It
Ghostbuster
communicated with me through a
entrapment.
feeling
Nah,
of peace and
I'm playing
comfort,
with y'all.
and I knew that everything was going to be okay.
See
It
if
was
y'all
like it was
still
telling
awoke.
me that I was loved and that there was a greater purpose to my life. It was an incredibly spiritual experience, and I felt more connected to the universe than ever before. Another user described encountering a group of angels that seemed to be related to their own spiritual journey. I saw these angels that seemed to be guiding me on my spiritual journey. They showed me scenes from my past and present and helped me understand the meaning and purpose behind my experiences. It was like they were telling me that everything happens for a reason and that I had a greater purpose in life. It was an incredibly comforting experience, and I felt like I was surrounded by love and light. Overall, the descriptions of angels encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of love, comfort, and spiritual guidance. They may communicate messages related to the individual's spiritual journey, personal growth, or sense of purpose in the universe. Depending on the individual's interpretation, they may be seen as guides, teachers, or even representatives of a higher power beyond our own understanding. Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are animal spirits or entities. These entities are often described as having a powerful and primal presence and may be associated with a sense of connection to nature and the animal kingdom. One user of DMT described their experience with animal spirits as follows. I saw these animal spirits that seemed to represent different aspects of nature and the animal kingdom. There were bears, wolves, eagles, and other creatures, each with their own unique energy and power. It was like they were telling me that I was a part of this greater natural world and that I had a responsibility to protect and honor it. It was an incredibly humbling experience, and I felt more connected to the natural world than ever before. Another user described encountering a group of animal spirits that seemed to be related to their own personal growth. I saw these animal spirits that seemed to represent different aspects of myself and my personality.
Now, just like the scientists and the evolution, really talking about the angelical, seraphim, ophanim, cherubim, so on, Merkabah, thrones, dominions, these animal-like spirits. When you don't have the holy power, you don't have dominion, so you are like a brute beast. You are like the angelic realm. Hey? So to let you understand, when these people used to smoke the peace pipe and do these shrooms, and then they write down in their books, I saw the wolf. It talked to me. Just know that was an angelic form coming. It's about the message, not the avatar animation of the hallucination, or maybe one wasn't doing no drugs or nothing like that. They just had an out-of-body experience, and you still see the same entities. Okay, let's get it.
The wise old owl that represented my wisdom and intuition, a playful monkey that represented my sense of humor, and a fierce tiger that represented my courage and strength. It was like they were telling me that I had all of these different parts of myself that I needed to integrate and embrace in order to become my true self. It was an incredibly powerful experience, and I felt like I had gained a deeper understanding of myself. Overall, the descriptions of animal spirits encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of connection to nature and the animal kingdom, as well as personal growth and integration of different aspects of oneself. They may communicate messages related to the individual's role in the natural world, or provide guidance and wisdom related to personal growth and self-discovery. Depending on the individual's interpretation, they may be seen as guides, allies, or even representations of the individual's own inner spirit. Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are snakes or serpent entities. These entities are often described as having a powerful and transformative presence, and may be associated with healing and transformation. One user of DMT described their experience with snake entities as follows. I saw these serpents that seemed to represent the power of transformation. They were slithering around me, and I could feel their energy wrapping around me and penetrating my being. It was like they were helping me shed my old skin and release old patterns and beliefs that were holding me back. It was a powerful experience, and I felt like I was being reborn into a new version of myself. Another user described encountering a group of snake entities that seemed to be related to their own spiritual journey. I saw these snakes that seemed to be guarding a gateway or portal to another realm. They had an intense energy and were almost intimidating, but I felt drawn to them. As I approached them, they seemed to test me, almost like they were challenging me to face my fears and overcome my limitations. It was like they were guiding me towards a higher spiritual state, and I felt like I had to earn my way through the portal. It was an intense experience, but I felt like I had gained a deeper understanding of my spiritual journey. Overall, the descriptions of snake entities encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with healing and transformation. They may communicate messages related to shedding old patterns and beliefs, facing fears, and moving towards a higher spiritual state. Depending on the individual's interpretation, they may be seen as guides, protectors, or even representatives of a divine force guiding the individual's spiritual journey. Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are dark beings or entities. These entities are often described as having a sinister and malevolent presence and may be associated with fear, anxiety, and feelings of being stalked or pursued. Unlike demons, which are often associated with religious beliefs and typically have a well-defined appearance, dark entities encountered during DMT trips are more nebulous and may take on different forms depending on the individual's interpretation. One user of DMT described their experience with dark entities as feeling like they were being stalked. I felt like these dark beings were stalking me and trying to get inside my mind. They were always just out of sight, but I could feel their presence and their negative energy. It was like they were trying to break me down and take control of me. It was a really scary experience, and I felt like I was being pursued by something that I couldn't escape. Another user described encountering a group of dark entities that seemed to be related to their own negative thought patterns. These dark entities were almost like shadows that seemed to be following me and feeding off of my fear and anxiety. It was like they were trying to keep me trapped in negative thought patterns, and I felt like I was fighting a losing battle. But as I faced them and confronted my own negative beliefs, the entities began to dissipate, and I felt like I had gained a new sense of clarity and strength. Overall, the descriptions of dark entities encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with feelings of being stalked or pursued, as well as negative patterns and beliefs. They may communicate messages related to the individual's own inner demons and the need to confront them in order to move forward on their spiritual journey. Depending on the individual's interpretation, they may be seen as challenges to overcome or as negative influences to be avoided. Another type of entity that some individuals report encountering during DMT trips are undefined beings. These entities are often described as being difficult to describe or define, with appearances that are constantly shifting and changing. One user of DMT described their experience with undefined beings as follows. I saw these beings that were almost like abstract shapes and colors with no real discernible features. They seemed to be constantly shifting and changing, and I couldn't really get a sense of what they were or what they wanted. It was like they were existing on a different plane of existence that I couldn't fully comprehend. Another user described encountering a group of undefined beings that seemed to be communicating through telepathy. I felt like I was in the presence of these beings that were communicating with me through some kind of telepathy. They didn't have a specific form or appearance, but I could feel their presence and their energy. It was like they were trying to convey a message to me, but I couldn't fully grasp what it was. Overall, the descriptions of undefined beings encountered during DMT experiences suggest that these entities are associated with a sense of mystery and incomprehensibility.
See the difference with the Holy Spirit. Like the brother said earlier, oh, what joy it is when you feel with the Holy Spirit and you don't have to use cheating substances or chasing elixirs to portray that you do have it. That's sorcery to get something you were never given. And so that's why you got to naturally have the Holy Spirit and be tapped into whatever it is written for you to do. It cannot be null against you. It's plain and simple. I'm BC the Tishvite, BC the Avet Root. Plasmic beings of yourself, reflections of yourself, thinking that they're higher or something else. The life you left to become humble and all the fruits of the Spirit. The old you wars with the new you, but there's many old yous. Me too. Let that marinate. Braka.